All right, what's going on, guys? So we are back with another video. Today we are going to go over the 10 most important things that I think anybody can do when they first get a truck or an SUV. These don't necessarily, I mean, this is my opinion, so it's not necessarily what you might want, but this is my opinion, and I'm going to use my 07 to 13 Chevy to kind of use that as like a base of prices. I'm going to give you my opinion on 10 different modifications you can do for either lifting it, squatting it, whatever you choose. And I'm going to give you a cheaper and a more expensive option based on your cost, right? So if you're just out of high school, you bought your first truck, you don't really have all this money to go spend on brand new lifts and all this other stuff, I'm going to give you the cheaper things you can do that'll still look great, that'll still build your truck, and to still keep you in competition, or even just because it looks nice compared to other trucks. All right, while we were filming this intro right here, I noticed there's a walnut. This farm that we live on has plenty of walnuts, and if you didn't know, your boy back in the day, all-star baseball player, a
little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, first, I think one of the most important things you can do for a vehicle is getting clear LED headlights and taillights. Okay, so you don't want any of that amber cheese in the side markers. You know, if you have DRLs and you like them, that's, you know, your prerogative. I don't particularly like them, so I'm going to try to stick with just the basic clears, but you have two options. All right, for this purpose, like I said, we're going to use my 07 to 13. So you have Alpha Rex over here on the expensive side, which are going to run you about $1,200 for the heads, probably about $500 to $600 for the taillights. Or you can go here, Amazon heads and tails. They sell them for around $100 for the clear headlights and around $150 for taillights or so. But you are going to get differences with those two. These ones are going to last a little bit longer. They're not going to condensate as much. These ones, they might condensate a little, they might leak. They're not going to be perfect. You get that expensive quality when you buy the expensive ones. So, and then when we go to the actual LED bulbs themselves, the LED bulbs, if you go to a really good brand like Last Fit, not only do they do the entire swap kit, but if you just need just the headlights, you can get them off their website even cheaper. But they do a kit that switches LED all the way around: side marker, headlight, tail light, reverse light, brake light, interior lights. They do every single thing, and it runs about $465. And then if you wanted to do Walmart, Amazon for the LEDs, you could probably get around with the same swap for about $100 to $175. All right, number two is going to be a lift kit or a level kit. So I think the factory rake kind of looks really, I'm not a humongous fan, you know, I like the lifted trucks. So you can go with a level if you're not worried about so much ground clearance, it being so big. Maybe you just want a little bit and take out that factory rake in the front. You can get a level kit, and most of those run about $100 to $200 to put in. It's a little puck in the front. That's going to be your cheapest option. There's not really like a brand that sticks out for those. But if you want a little bit more ground clearance, you want to go a little bit bigger, run bigger tires, then you're going to go with an actual lift kit. These change the entire front suspension. It's not just a strut spacer. You're going to go through different brands like FTS, McGoy, Rough Country, BDS. You're going to go through those different lift kit companies. They all have kits from 4 inches, 6 inches, 7 to 9, 10 to 12. They make some big kits and they make some decent kits. I will say you're going to be running anywhere from $750 for the Rough Country, their basic kit, all the way up to $4,000 or $5,000 when you start getting into those bigger 10 to 12 inch kits. What I recommend to do is go on Facebook Marketplace, be smart, don't just buy the first thing you see, pick out something that you might want, and then actually go through and look to make sure all the bolts are there, the hardware's there, that they're not scamming you out, that the shocks aren't bad, there's nothing broken, nothing cracked. You want to make sure everything you're buying, especially with that amount of money, is going to lead you to the right place to lift your truck safely and responsibly. So the third thing on this list is going to be a tonneau cover. I like putting stuff in my bed. You know, I haul my apparel brand to these shows, so I like to make sure that my stuff is protected and underneath in my truck bed. I personally have the Rough Country. It's just a tri-fold. This is one of their, one of the cheaper options you can get. They run anywhere from about $200 to $250. But you can get the more expensive ones that are like they're hard covers, they flip up, they, you know, you can get, I mean, you can get the ones that are full hard like fiberglass covers, and they can run anywhere from $500 all the way up to almost $1,200 for a tonneau cover. For me, that's a little overkill. This cheaper one right here does everything that I need it to, but I think it's definitely one of the most basic things that you can do to protect the stuff that you're putting in your bed. All right, so the fourth thing on this list is going to be your audio. We're going to kind of go through a couple things with that. So there are some things you can replace, like your doors and your tweeters. And, you know, you don't actually have to do a whole bunch to change those. You know, you can just buy the cheap ones, or you can go a little more expensive. I think for the cheaper ones, you're looking at the smaller DS18 ones. They make expensive ones as well. But when you start looking at just the basic audio, you know, your Kenwood, your Pioneer, I think those are going to be a little more expensive. But something that you might want to do when you change those out is you want to change your head unit as well. So this one has the Sony. It's upgraded from your factory one. With this, if you run subs, if you run other audio, you can, it comes with the plugs in the back to where you don't have to hardwire anything in. It's literally just a quick plug and play. It'll go in and it makes running it a hell of a lot easier. Plus, when it comes to changing your EQ settings, and it's just a nice personal upgrade. Say you don't have CarPlay in your vehicle, you buy an older vehicle, this gives you CarPlay for your vehicle, or Android Auto, which is a really, really nice touch. And then lastly is these subs back here. I know it's a little dirty, but I like subs. I personally want under seat instead of on seat, but to have a little more boom, a little more bass, that is like the most important thing out of this whole thing with the audio. I would find a good brand, get a good box, tune it, make it sound really, really well, because if you're going to upgrade anything in your vehicle, it needs to be the bass. All right, so the fifth thing on this list is going to be tint. I think that is, you know, I would say on all the vehicles I've owned, it's been like the first thing I've done. I probably should have put it a little higher on this list, but I like to make sure that my windows are dark. I like to make sure that I have windshield tint, which I need to do on this truck, and I like having a strip. So a little bit of a pro versus con thing. Yes, in terms of safety, at nighttime in the rain, it's a little harder to see, but as long as you're not going too dark, like I'm not going to recommend you to go past the legal limit. I personally am past the legal limit just because I am fully in control and aware of what I'm doing, and I trust myself to drive this vehicle with the tint that has it, along with my fiance, along with other family members. So with this tint strip up here on the top on the windshield, I definitely think in terms of the sun visor, like it comes with that blue little strip on the top of the windshield. That's not enough for me. I like having the full dark tint strip. It really blocks out that sun glare to where you can actually like see on the roadway. And then the full tinted shield. One, nobody needs to know my business about what's in this truck. Along with that, for me and my fiance's opinion, just seeing better. Cars high beaming you at night, especially if you're going to be switching to LEDs in the front. You get that a lot, along with sun glare. When the glare bounces off your hood, when it bounces off of other vehicles, it really knocks a lot of that glare down. And if you have astigmatism, which is where you have where you see lights at night and they have like the lines coming off of them really, really bad, that helps a lot with that. My fiance really struggled with that, and when she started driving my past truck, my red truck, I had the tinted shield, and she actually did a lot better driving at night because of that. So, but as you can see, inside to outside, right, it is super dark, okay? But after we close it, you know, it's gonna stay dark. I need to do the windshield in the front. But other than that, like, it's not terrible. You know, this is perfectly fine, but I think it is something that you need to do that's necessary. Okay. Number 6 on this list is going to be your exhaust. So personally on this truck, I have True Dual straights with no cats, 2-inch pipe, and it ran all the way to these little Dingle Bell 6-inch tips. I'm not 100%, I don't really like the Dingle Bell tips, but I bought it like that. I kind of like the out towards the bumper more. It's a loud ass bird. But if you're going to be running exhaust, I think it's important to make sure that you know the neighborhood you're in, that you know the county you're in, state you're in, because Virginia, they take the exhaust a little hard. They're not too crazy, but it's not great. So I take that risk of driving my truck because, you know, it's super duper loud. But it also depends on what you want. If you want your truck to just have a little bit more rumble, you might want to look at a muffler delete or a resonator delete. But if you want something a little more like a little bit louder, something that claps just a little bit, you might look at getting an entire new muffler from Flowmaster, Carvin. You can get it from Borla, you can do a catback, or you can just do from where it duals over the axle back. So if you want the loudest exhaust you can get what I have. So you can get the exhaust fully bent, fully done. That is a full, true dual setup, completely straight piped all the way back. That's the loudest you're gonna get. If you like that, I do, and I know a lot of other people do, but you have to take the risks into consideration. All right, so number 7 on the list is gonna be a wheel and tire setup. If you wanna go the cheaper route, if you first buy a vehicle, you don't have a lot of money, but you wanna make your truck bigger, you have the lift kit, but you need a setup. Honestly, if your stock wheels aren't too rusted, too pitted, and even if they are, you can leave them. It's not a big problem. You can buy another set of tires. You can buy a set of aggressive mud tires from Fury, Nitto, Toyo. Those are going to be some of your best brands to buy for driving on the street, driving in trails, doing whatever you need to do. But it can give you a bigger tire from stock, which gives you exactly what you're looking for. But if you have a little bit more money to spend, you can kind of do what I did, right? I kind of like the rubber band look, so I have 26s, I have 35s. You could even go up to a 37. I mean, you can go all the way to a 44 if you can clear them. But you can also look at brands that are a little more expensive, kind of your forged wheel, which is going to be your KG1, your JTX. But you can also look towards your cheaper stuff, which is going to be Hardcore, TIS. It's going to be a little bit cheaper, so it just depends on what your budget is for a wheel and tire setup. But again, this is one of those things, just like the lift kits, that you need to look on Facebook Marketplace. It is going to be your best friend, but you need to make sure that they're not curved, they're not cracked, that there's no, stress wear marks, there's no anything on the tires, no plugs, no patches. It needs to be a good setup, and usually they're worth a little bit of money, but it's probably still going to be cheaper than you would buy off the shelf. All right, so number 8 on the list, this one's kind of really stupid easy. This one, it's not even going to cost you anything, okay? Antenna delete, okay? I unbolted this antenna. The easiest replacement I can tell you to do is a spike antenna, because to be honest, who really listens to the radio anymore? If you're gonna have a vehicle, if you're gonna upgrade your head unit, if you've got a plug-in, you're most likely gonna be running off of your phone or Bluetooth, wired in CarPlay, Android Auto, or Bluetooth. And if you're listening to XM, you do have radio, you got that little shark fin up there. So this is only for AM, FM. And I think those little antennas in the front on your windshield kind of look a little ugly. So for me, that's what I would do. If you want to buy a spike one, American Trucks is probably your best place to do that. They probably run anywhere from 25 to 50 bucks. And they just screw right in. You unscrew the stock one, you screw in the new one, or you can do what I did. It's completely free. You just take it off and it looks 10 times better. Number 9 on this list is something that you don't necessarily have to get done, but it is something that I would put more towards your bottom of the schedule for things you want to get done. It's paint matching. Okay, so normally these would come either black or chrome. Your badges, some of your bumper, your mirror. As you start getting into your door handles, your back tailgate, your bumper plastics on the back, you get a lot of black trim on a new vehicle. Even on the older vehicles, there's a lot of black plastic trim. It looks a lot better to me when you paint match it. It's not a necessary thing. It's not a necessity, but it does look really, really nice, and it adds like a nice touch, like a nice final touch. Kind of brings all the build together. So you want to make sure that you do it properly. If you do it yourself, you want to make sure that you have a really good prep job. The most important thing to a paint job is the prep work. So you make sure that you sand it, you want to make sure that you wipe it down with alcohol, and then you want to do a really, really nice, good coat of spray paint. It can be literally rattle can, and it will look okay. As long as there's enough prep work and enough finish work, spray paint, you won't even tell that it is spray paint. I guarantee that these are spray paint. I bought it like this, but I mean, it lines up pretty well. And I have a feeling that most of this was spray paint. But if you want to spend that extra money, there's that $300 to $600 to get your stuff professionally done, get it really, really perfect, send it off to a shop. Take your parts off, buy new parts, send them to a paint shop, let them do it, and then you can bolt them on. But I think it's one of those things that kind of rounds out and brings that perfect finish touch to a vehicle. Lastly, number 10, I think one of the most important things you can do. It's not necessary, but I think if you want to keep your truck looking good, you need to make sure that it's kept clean. This thing is absolutely filthy. I have not washed this thing, I don't think, but like 3 times since I've bought it. I mean, it's been in the shop most of the time, but I don't really drive it that often right now, so I haven't spent the time to clean it. I need to. But if you're going to make sure your truck looks good, you want to make sure that you go through and you clean it. You want to start out and do a really good, you want to take the pressure washer, clean it off. You want to do a contact wash, and then you want to paint correct it. You want to get all the swirls, all the scratches, everything out of it, and then you want to put a perfect ceramic coating on it. That ceramic coating is going to make it to where water beads off, dirt beads off, so if you spray it, it's going to come right off. And usually if you get a really, really good one, they can last anywhere for up to 10 years. If you can't do that personally, they do get a little expensive, and it takes a lot of craftsmanship. You might actually have to take it to a professional detailer to get that done, and that can run you anywhere from, I would say, $500 to $2,500, sometimes more depending on the coating that you get. But if you want to really save money in the bank, then you can do it yourself. You can buy the actual ceramic coating bottles. It's a little tiny bottle. A little goes a long way. You can buy them. They usually run from, I would say, $200, I would say $100, about $100 to about $300, and you could do it yourself. You just want to make sure that you look up how to do it correctly, use AI, use YouTube, talk to other detailers, make sure that you're doing it correctly so you don't just ruin it and waste the product. I will put a little bit of a disclaimer out there. If you're buying these cheap little bottles off the shelves at AutoZone or Walmart that say, oh, ceramic spray, that is not the same thing. Don't buy that. No, you want to make sure you get a proper ceramic coating and that you have to apply it, not just spray it and wipe it, that it actually has to be applied to make sure that it's really, really good and that it'll last forever. So I hope that's 10 things that y'all can really look at. If you just bought a vehicle, you want to make sure it looks nice, but there's options both cheap and expensive that you can get. But in my opinion, those are the top 10 things that I can think of that you need to do to your truck, or at least have an opinion on yourself, because you might not want to do all the 10 of those, but for me, that's what I'm going to do to every single vehicle that I own. So you know what, drop pictures or send links to your Instagram in the comments of stuff that you've done, or comment things that you think I should do more. I'd love to hear from you guys, so make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Come back for another video.
Maybe I just wanna be an outlaw. Lord knows I've never been a saint. Lord is gonna be my downfall. Right or wrong, I'ma take it to the grave. I'm a